The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The snow in Davos fell softly, quietly, like it had no idea it was about to hear a story born under the African sun. Inside the grand halls of the World Economic Forum, the air was thick with power, suits tailored by money, voices polished by privilege, conversation about trillions spoken as casually as market gossip. This was not a place where Africa usually spoke loudly. It was a place where Africa was spoken about. Then one man stood up, not with drums, not with chants, but with something far more dangerous: truth. Julius Maada Bio, president of Sierra Leone and chairperson of Ecowas, did not come begging. He did not come blaming history, colonization, or destiny. He came holding up a mirror and he pointed it first at Africa itself. And suddenly the room became quiet. He said what many had avoided saying for decades: Africa is not poor. Africa is not empty. Africa is not hopeless. Africa is misled. Africa is misled. Our problem, his words echoed, is not resources, it's not potential, it is mindset, especially at the level of leadership. Especially at the level of leadership. That sentence landed like thunder on a dry ground. Because in that moment, Maada Bio was not speaking to the West. He was speaking to us. He spoke of leaders who think small in a world that is changing at lightning speed. Leaders who protect borders more than they protect their people. Leaders trapped in old thinking while the future races past them like a railway train. We, as leaders, need to change as quickly as the world itself is changing, quote and unquote.
We, as leaders, need to change as quickly as the world itself is changing. And we are still stuck in history in terms of mindset. And the environment is changing so fast that a lot of us have missed the point. In terms of capital, it's going to be difficult to mobilize capital at this juncture from outside because they are shy of our investment climate, the codes, how they can repatriate profit. But at the same time, what is interesting is that they are never shy to come for our resources. Even with wars, they can come for the resources. But there are a lot of other conditions, that keep them away. Again, we do not have a collective bargaining power as a continent, which has been pointed out. Lately, I've seen the AFC, Afro-Exim Bank, and the others becoming really aggressive to support African ventures. I think I will encourage them along that path. We at the political helm need to change how we think about the world and how important a regional market is for us. Yeah. We're talking about 1.4 billion people. West Africa alone, Ecowas, which I chair the authority, is about 470 million people. These are markets that are relevant enough to create wealth for our citizens. But it needs quite a lot of input. And we have still, we are guarding our sovereignty, using the boundaries to separate us instead of using them to unite us towards economic prosperity for our citizens. So, as you were saying, I'm working on an Ecowas, or West African Economic Summit, not the political one, wherein we bring in all the private sector in the sub-region, put them down and talk to them, and so we now identify practical steps to break these borders so that they can actually do business, and they can force us. I want them to force us, political leaders, to break these boundaries so that they can move services, money, business, and everything. People can move. So that is coming, and I would like to get the buy-in of AFC and all the others to really come to this table, because it's not going to be politics. They are going to lead, we are going to be listening, and we want prescription that can go into action, not a rhetoric that is going to be kept in communiques that never get to the ground.
Mr. President, let me start with you. You said there's more challenges in this moment. Why is that? What does the picture look like for you as the head of state, the head of government in a country grappling with these very trends I described?
With everything that is happening, I think you can only earn the benefit if you are prepared for it before it comes. The necessary infrastructure and also the readiness of the people in terms of the fit-for-purpose education to benefit from what is happening in the world, with serious problems with energy supply, connectivity, and other issues. The continent is not exactly prepared, and so in the end we will be at the receiving end of what is happening. Should it come now, it's here already, I must say. It will take us time to have the wherewithal to put in the necessary infrastructure, the digital public goods to be able, the energy required that is not only affordable but also reliable, and to educate our people, the most important asset for every revolution. Call this a revolution. Yep. The people must be ready for it. And so we have our youth full of energy, creativity, but we must invest in their education so that they will know how to translate all of this into useful purpose for the continent.
And educational challenges with the new opportunities, an AI revolution, payment platforms, and the ability for investors like Yuri to come and invest in markets in a way they wouldn't have in the past. How are you balancing that transition today?
It's quite hard. And that is where proper economic management comes in. And we have to imagine a future that is sustainable. We have a population that is very young, and we have to make sure that we can sustain the growth path on which we have embarked. And that means that we have to invest increasingly in developing that population. I say this because I'm thinking of the next problem ahead of African states. We all are happy about our population being young, but if you don't find a way to manage their creativity, their energy, they will be restless. And that is going to compound our problems. So in my opinion, in as much as the world is definitely going to other spheres of development, AI and other things, we will try to catch up on those. At the same time, even talking about the dividend from the resources that we are talking about, increasingly making sure that we add value within the continent. We are doing so because I believe that it will create more jobs. And you pointed out the agriculture has been very important. I believe that entirely. And in fact, agriculture or food security is the flagship for my government because it solves the problem of the youth. It is the best when it comes to creating jobs all around because of the different stages from production to value addition.
Right, it's the high-end processing that's important too, right? Not just producing the products, but actually being able to process them in country.
The entire value chain. It employs a lot of people, and what it does is not. It caters for the elites, but also caters for the villagers, those in the far too rich places, who we will support to embark on agriculture that benefits them. And right across the value chain, it is going to employ different groups of people: the rich, the medium-sized, especially the women. My call for agricultural transformation has been captured more by the women. They are more receptive. We have a lot of women in that sector who are doing extremely well, and we hope to be able to capture the youth so that we can tap into their energy, stop them from coming across this desert into the Mediterranean Sea and dying for the most part. We want to retain that energy, but we are losing it more because they will always go for greener pastures. So for me, agriculture, I have identified as a way to deal with one, broad-based economic development right across the country, not just for the elites in the cities, but also deal with malnutrition and food security itself, but it deals also with employment, unemployment, which is real one of the issues that can lead to unrest, social unrest, and create more problems. But it brings money too to the state. So it is these multidimensional aspects of agriculture that after spending a lot of, and we still are doing so for education. The first time I dedicated it to education because this is an enabler that gives us the authority to be able to be meaningful part of the global economy. And so I have embarked on agriculture. We are not, education, we are not entirely out of the woods because we are laying the foundation for a serious movement in that direction.
You have the Education Outcomes Fund, for example, operating in your country, and you're famous for having changed the rules to allow pregnant girls to go to school. You've made a number of reforms in the country in education.
And we are making sure that we bring the women along. You see, the youth and the women constitute, of course, the greatest part of our population. And because of the multiplier effect of women in communities, when you bring them along, there is room for more movement, more upward movement or social mobility for a lot more people than just we the men. I mean, I have nothing against we the men, but I think we make more more progress when you take the women and really empower them.
But the word he warned is not wait. Capital is moving, technology is moving, power is shifting, and Africa is still arguing with yesterday. He told them something else, something uncomfortable, that investors claim they are, quote, shy, end of quote, of Africa's investment climate, shy of policies, shy of regulations, shy of reparation rules. Yet, here was the contradiction. They are never shy when it comes to Africans' gold, Africans' oil, Africans' cobalt, Africans' blood-sucked minerals. Even in the times of war, they calm. So the problem is not fear. The problem is structure. The problem is unity. The problem is that Africa negotiates as 54 whispers instead of one voice. We lack collective bargaining power, Mada Bio said plainly. It's good that these people are confessing. And in that sentence lived centuries of lost opportunities. But this was not a speech of despair. This was a turning point, as if when they come back home, they'll continue to do something different instead of doing the same old thing. Because then he spoke of something stirring beneath the surface. African institutions waking up. The African Export-Import Bank, African finance houses, African capital beginning finally to believe in African ideas. Quote, they are becoming aggressive. End of quote. He said, and I encourage them to continue, quote and unquote. It was the sound of a drum beat starting again. The message was clear. If the world will not finance Africa's future, Africa must finance itself. If the world doubts African potential, Africans must stop doubting themselves first. In that cold room in Davos, something ancient rose up. Our leaders know everything in speech. Like when they are going to have programs like this, that's the time they sit down, craft everything very beautiful and go and preach it to the world. But they will come doing nothing. Our leaders are always giving us this kind of speeches wherever they find themselves. Yet, they will never take any bold step. How can one people be speaking voices of 54? We lack bargaining power because the voices are too much and you are very weak, like you said. When we talk, you say the youth of today do not respect elders. But you yourself, you are confessing the failure of the leadership that we have in Africa. Instead of our leaders becoming leaders to protect their own, they are leaders that are protecting borders. And we understand when they say we are protecting, no, they are protecting borders. You understand? Because they keep on making sure they serve the interests of the colonizer. The colonizer is the border. But instead of him to say, you know, African leaders, we are still respecting and then serving our masters, he refers it to the border. So you need to be fast to understand these people when they speak. Instead of protecting the people in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso stop protecting borders and they are protecting the people. Yet you, the same chairperson of Ecowas, and the rest of you are after them. But you know that what they are doing is the best thing that we need to be doing as a people. The borders are the colonizers' way of keeping hold of Africa. Yet you, the leaders, know exactly the problem of Africa in speech, but you can never decide to act right in the interest of the people in Africa. Yes, we have the resources, but who controls the resources? Like you said, they are never shy when it comes to anything to pick from Africa. But they have 1,001 reasons why Africa is this way. You know all this. And who is allowing them? It is you, the leaders, who are still giving them the opportunity to do what they want to do here in Africa. Enough of talking, because we have had enough. There is nothing we can do for ourselves. So stop presenting yourselves as beggars, as helpless, as leaders who cannot lead their people. Nkrumah said, we the black people are capable of managing our affairs. But the leaders of today, like you said, we are not showing that to the world. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Sierra Leone.